All right. Okay. Great. Okay. Okay, so welcome again, and we will start from the beginning. So citations and references, a foolproof guide to avoiding plagiarism. So this is just basically a snapshot of MLA. And one of the main reasons, that's why I said let's start from the beginning, for citations and references, the primary goal is so that you would avoid plagiarism. And I'm thinking that everyone here should know what plagiarism is. Just in case, I have a definition of plagiarism, and it says, according to the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, to plagiarize means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, to use another's production without crediting the source, to commit literary theft, to present as new and original idea or product derived from an existing source. In other words, plagiarism is an act of fraud. It involves both stealing someone else's work and lying about it afterwards. And there's a source. So if you go into that link, of course, you will get this presentation after with all the links and everything. It gives you more details. There are even some quick videos on there going further into plagiarism. And of course, in academy, it's an academic offense. So that's why we are going through these steps to make sure that you safeguard yourself against plagiarism. So now I'm going to research. What is research and how to conduct research? Now, this is all leading into the crux of the matter, which is basically MLA 90 edition. So a definition of research, and I wouldn't go through all these, the wording here. Basically, a set of skills used to solve an information problem for which there is no immediate solution. So your goal would be to do proper research, and by proper research, which includes proper citations and references, they go hand in hand. What is research? So simply put, an attempt to solve a problem for which a solution does not yet exist. It can be conducted by anyone wanting to solve a problem. It is conducted by persons in various professions, fields, occupations. It is never usually complete for a particular topic or subject. It is very important skill set to develop, solve real world problems. We have the research process. You see there are basically 7 steps and 8 steps, sorry. And one key step, which is highlighted here, which I would like us to pay attention, is to cite your sources properly, use a relevant style manual. And today the style manual in use would be MLA 9th edition. The research process. So one of the steps is basically to locate the materials and develop a search strategy. This is basically a visual of the research process. So you have different criteria to evaluate your sources, right? Then there's something called the CRAP test. CRAP is just basically an acronym to help you remember the different steps within the research process. So it has to be current, it has to be relevant, it has to have an authority, it should be accurate, and there should be a purpose behind it, right? So these are some of the key questions that you need to ask yourself when conducting proper academic research to make sure there is substance and proper academic rigor involved, right? Because this is at the highest level, at the tertiary level. So evaluating information. So who, where, what, how, when, and you have the different tenants, credibility, authority, relevance, and that kind of thing. The library's role in research, which is basically what our presentation today would entail, citing and referencing. So you have different citation styles, and they would relate to particular disciplines and that kind of thing. For the humanities and education, MLA is one of the main styles that is used. And we're now in the 9th edition. Some people may have started their work, their academic journey at the 8th edition, but we are now at the 9th edition. So this is what we're focusing on. And I guess whoever would have started at the 8th, the lecturer probably allowed them to continue at the 8th, but we're using the 9th for these purposes. Humanities Research Guide. So basically, the information in terms of LibGuides, where you can find proper citation and references on our website. The information can be found in the AGL website, and you go under research, the research tab, and you hit research guides, and there's a whole wealth of information for the different faculties there, just to remind you. So it's worth exploring the AGL's website. Modern Language Association, MLA. It assists with document format, in-text citation, bibliography, works cited, reference lists. These are the 9 core elements of the MLA that you need to look out for. You have the author, the title of source, title of container, other contributors, version, number, publisher, publication date, location. So you kind of have to make sure when you're citing that you've covered these areas. It's a nice quick reference guide to see if you have all the elements within your citation. MLA containers. Now I have left some links in this presentation which will give you a good, this is a YouTube link that you can look and get a more audiovisual grasp on MLA containers, but I don't think we will go into that today. But there's one video that I mentioned at the end that I would reference. So you have something called containers, and then literally what it says, a container, whether it's a book, a digital format, basically what contains the material. It's literal. Books, one author. And when you have one author, this is basically a visual of what your citation and MLA would look like. So you have last name, comma, first name, full stop, italicized, title of book, city of publication, publisher, publication date. So remember, we just referred to the elements, the core elements, the 9 core elements. So you would see that they basically covered here in terms of all the fields that should be covered when your citation. Note the city of publication should only be used if the book was published before 1900, if the publisher's office is in more than one country, if the publisher is unknown, in North America. Now, there's a little gray area with MLA because they say in city of publication, but because in the Caribbean, let's just say Trinidad and Tobago as reference, we have some unusual names. People may not know where it was. So there is a little leeway you can use even after 1900. You can put in the place of publication because we have some unusual names that people are not familiar with. They might even make fun of. I mean, think of how the word tuna puna sounds to a foreigner who's never been here, never heard about it. So sometimes you might want to include that. It depends, right? You can use your discretion. 2 authors, last name, first name of first author, and the first name, last name of second author. Title of book, italicized, subtitle if any, edition if given, and is not first edition. The publisher, name often shortened, year of publication. But of course, and there you have some examples. You're seeing works cited, list example. So this is basically a visual of what it would look like laid out, right? I'll just stay here a minute so you all could look at it. And at the bottom, I have the source, so you all could reference further. An ebook, because you know a lot of material is now in electronic format. And as a library, we've been buying more e-copies. 1, because of space and infrastructure, and 2, because of the flexibility of these items. They can, a lot of them, depending on what the publisher has allowed, we could have multiple users of a particular text in e-copy. So it makes sense to buy a lot of ebooks, and the library is not getting any bigger. So in terms of space and that kind of thing. So that works for us. So now we have ebook from a library database, and this is basically how you would cite this type of material. Three or more authors, last name, first name of first author, et al., meaning and others, title of book italicized, subtitle if any, edition if given, and it's not first edition, publisher name, often shortened, year of publication. And there you have some examples, work cited, list example below, so you can have a quick look at what it should look like. Titles in journals, an example. This is another example of how it can look. Sometimes you have a URL. It's important to list that as well. Website. This is an example, and you see access and date access. That's important. Sometimes you may be doing a piece of research, some research today, and my next week that could have changed. It's important to put the date at which you first access and save your findings somewhere safe where you can go back to it when you're ready to compile or put your paper together. So date access. So here you see access 14th of October 2020. So that is important and also an element of MLA for citing websites. Dates and websites. This is another example. Again, you see the access date. All of these things give your research credibility. In-text citation elements. These are some examples. It should direct readers to the entry in your works cited list for that source. It should be unobtrusive. An in-text citation would be the author's last name or the abbreviated title with a page number enclosed in parentheses, or like we like to say sometimes in brackets. The annotated bibliography should, and these are some qualities that it should have. For the annotated bibliography, there's also a very informative video at the end in my links of going through step by step of the annotated bibliography. It's quite comprehensive. So it should basically cite the source using the MLA style. Describe the main ideas, arguments, themes, theses, or methodology, and identify the intended audience. Explain the author's expertise, point of view, and any bias he or she may have, compared to other sources on the same topic that you have also cited to show similarities and differences. It should explain why each source is useful for your research topic and how it relates to your topic. It should evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of each source, identify the observations or conclusions of the author. And there I have a video link, so when you have some time, when you get these slides, you can review it. These are basically maybe for more postgrad, people who are already in the publishing stream or who wish to publish. So these slides are presented by a colleague, another librarian, who basically is very versed in predatory publishing. So she has offered 2 slides as a guide, and I've put her information here as well if you want to reach out to her for further information or advice or guidance on predatory journals and publishing, because a lot of people do take their hard-earned time and resources and invest into publishing, and then they want to submit to a peer-reviewed journal only to fall prey to predatory journals. So that's something else in terms of research and publishing and the world of academia that we need to be aware of. And some people, as seasoned as they are, they're not aware of some of these things. So these 2 slides basically just gives a guide on what you should or should not look for. So spam emails, fast peer review time, some red flags that you should basically look at, right? If you want to to reach out. Her name is Mrs. Niala Dwaraka Bhagat. She's attached to the Medical Sciences Library in Monto, but she's always willing to share her knowledge and guide students in that area. So these are some things you should need to be aware of. And those are basically her 2 slides. Sorry. Her 2 slides and her information to contact her. Okay, so these are some video references which you can look at in your own time. This is my information, and now I would like to show a quick video on MLA citing, if you all would bear with me. Hello, and welcome to ELAC Library's segment.
Hi, Georgia. We are not seeing the video.
Okay. Just now. Are you all seeing it now?
No.
You seeing it now?
Yes, we are seeing it now.
Are you all hearing it? Randy, are you all hearing the video?
You can not hear anything.
You hearing it now?
Is it playing?
Yeah.
Not hearing any audio nowhere.
Hello, and welcome to ELAC Library's Cite Write and MLA 9th edition workshop.
Okay, we are hearing now, Georgia.
After today's workshop, hello, and welcome to ELAC Library's Cite Write and MLA 9th edition workshop. After today's workshop, you'll be able to define citation and plagiarism, cite a book and an article in MLA style, and know where and how to access further MLA resources online. Let's get started. First, what exactly is citing? While in college, your professors will expect you to use and analyze outside sources such as books, articles, and websites in your essays and presentations. Citing is the formal way we give credit to the sources we're using in our academic research. It involves using someone else's words, ideas, or even creations and acknowledging the original source or author of that borrowed information. Why do we do this? Well, there are many reasons we need to cite our sources. First, we want to acknowledge or credit the scholars who came before us. Second, we want our readers to be able to follow up on our sources. Third, we cite so it's clear when we're using our own thoughts and ideas and when we're using the thoughts and ideas of others. And fourth, we cite our sources to show off our outstanding research skills. Another reason we cite is to avoid plagiarizing. Plagiarism is the act of using someone else's words, ideas, or creations without giving them proper credit and passing it off as your own work. This goes against your student code of conduct of acting with academic integrity, in other words, of being honest about your work and not cheating. Consequences of plagiarism could include failing an assignment, failing a class, or even getting expelled from college. So how do we make sure that we're avoiding plagiarism? You cite your sources. For example, if you summarize or paraphrase an idea that you found in an outside source, in other words, you put it in your own words, you need to cite the original source of that information you're borrowing. You also want to cite the original source when you use a direct quote from a person or a source. And you want to cite the original source when you reference graphs, charts, data, or any images you did not create yourself. A good rule of thumb is if the ideas or creations did not come from you originally, you should be citing the original source of that information unless it's considered common knowledge or knowledge that is easily verifiable by multiple sources and widely known to be true. Let's move into how we cite. To cite properly, you'll need to follow a style guide or style manual. Style guides not only show you how to cite different sources, they also outline rules for formatting your paper, the preferred style of language to be used when writing, and your intended audience. Style guides are discipline specific. On the top left, you'll see an image of the APA publication manual, or the writing and citation style used in the field of psychology. In the middle, you'll see an example of the Chicago Manual of Style, often used in history and fine arts. And on the bottom, you'll see the ASA style guide used in sociology. You always want to ask your professor and double check which style and which edition you should be using when writing and citing in your classes. For this workshop, we're going to be focusing on MLA style. This is the style used in English and the Humanities. Here's an image of the MLA Handbook. The 9th edition of this handbook was released in April 2021. If you're familiar with the 8th edition, not much has changed in terms of citing and paper formatting, though there have been a few changes in accepted language, such as the use of they/them pronouns when referring to a single person. When you're citing in MLA style, you'll need to use two types of citations. You'll have in-text citations, which are in the body of your paper, and those will refer your readers to your full citation at the end of your paper in a works cited page. Here's a visual of what that might look like in practice. On the left side, you'll see we have the body of a research paper, and you'll see the in-text citations have been highlighted and arrows have been drawn to direct you to their corresponding full citation in the works cited page that's on the right. The in-text citations, when done in MLA style, should be in parentheses at the end of your sentence. The parentheses signal to your reader that this information was taken from an outside source. Inside the parentheses, you'll give the author and the page number where you got the information. That shortened in-text citation will let your reader know where they can find the full citation in your works cited page at the end of your paper. So, how do we go about creating these full citations in a works cited page? Step 1 is to figure out your source type. Is it a book you're citing from, a chapter from a book, an online news article, an interview? Different source types will require different identifying information to build a full citation. Next, you'll need to find that identifying information on your actual source. This often includes things like a title, authors, publication date, and a location, usually in the form of page numbers if it's a print source, or a website or URL if it's an online source. Lastly, you'll follow the formatting of the style guide to create your citation. you'll need to pay special attention to things like punctuation, capitalization, spacing, italics, and quotation marks. Now, if you don't have access to the official MLA Handbook, don't worry. There are lots of helpful MLA resources you can find for free online. Just be sure you're looking at resources that use the current edition. Our favorite resources include the ELAC Library Citation Guide and the Excelsior OWL's MLA Guide. Let's have a quick look at both before we jump into practicing citations together. If you go to researchguides.elac.edu/citation, you'll land on our MLA Style Guide. Here you can find an MLA Quick Guide that you can download, as well as sample MLA papers to review and links to videos that will show you how to create a hanging indent. Let's have a look at our 9th edition Quick Guide. Part 1 of the Quick Guide will walk you through how to set up your paper in MLA style, as well as how to format your in-text citations. Part 2 outlines how to create citations for your Works Cited page and gives common rules and examples like how to cite books, articles, and websites. Again, when following these formulas, make sure that you're paying special attention to your punctuation, abbreviations, spacing, and italics. Part 3 shows you an example Works Cited page, and Part 4 shows you where to go for more help. One of the best places you can get in-depth MLA help is at the Excelsior Online Writing Lab, or OWL for short. At the OWL, you can use their extensive menu on the left for further help. You can click on MLA Works Cited and you'll be shown examples of how to cite things like interviews, social media, and more. Let's put this to practice. Pretend you're writing a paper and you paraphrase a section from this print book, They Were Her Property. And now you need to create a citation for this book. First, we've identified the source type. It's a print book. Next, we'll need to use a citation guide like the MLA Quick Guide or Excelsior OWL to identify the ingredients needed to cite a print book. Here we go. So we notice we'll need the author, last name, comma, first name, and the title and subtitle of the book. These two items are usually found on the front cover of the book. Next, we see we'll need the publisher name and the publication year. These two items are usually found on the first or second page inside of the book. Now, if I found this book online, I would also need to include the database or ebook provider and the URL where we can access that online book. So once we gather our citation ingredients, we'll need to follow the formatting of that style guide to create our citation. And now we have a full MLA citation for this book. We started with our author's name, but formatted as last name, comma, first name. Next, we have the title and subtitle of the book, but formatted in italics and using capital letters for the first letter of each main word. Next, we have the publisher name with an abbreviated UP for University Press and the date of publication. Next, let's practice creating a citation for a scholarly article we found online in the library database JSTOR. Step 1, we've identified that this is a scholarly article. Next, we'll need to identify the required ingredients for a scholarly article citation using our quick guide or Excelsior OWL. Using our citation guide, we now have a list of ingredients we need to find either on the article itself or in the database record. Next, we'll need to put all of these ingredients in order following the formatting according to the example. Here's what that would look like for this scholarly article. First, we have the author, again formatted as last name, comma, first name. Next, since this is an article and not a book, we have multiple titles. The first is the title of the article, and in MLA style, we put article titles in quotes and capitalize the first letter of each main word. The next title we have is the title of the journal. The journal title will be capitalized but formatted in italics. After the title of the journal, we'll also have the volume and issue number of the journal with the abbreviations VOL period and NO period. After the issue number, we have the date of publication and the location in the form of page numbers with the abbreviated PP period. Since we found this article online in a database, we also need to include the name of the database, formatted in italics, and the permalink or stable URL that will take your reader directly to the article. Keep in mind for MLA 9th edition, we do not include the HTTPS prefix for URLs. Access dates are suggested but not required, so be sure to check your professor's preference. Lastly, don't forget to double-check your punctuation, noting where you need a comma versus where you'll need a period. Now let's put our sample citations together in a works cited page. Remember, when formatting your works cited page, always start on a new page at the end of your paper, double space your citations, use a hanging indent, and remember your citations should be in alphabetical order by the first word in the citation. That's usually an author's last name, but it can sometimes be a title if you have a source without a listed author. If you're using Microsoft Word or Google Docs to write your paper, be sure to check out the available MLA style templates. In Word, click on File, New from Template, and search for MLA. You'll see MLA style papers that you can use as templates to format your own research paper. Before we get going, I wanted to remind you of the great MLA resources available to you online. We've covered a lot in this workshop, and rest assured, we don't expect you to memorize every MLA citation rule. However, you should be familiar with finding and following MLA examples online. The first place you can check is ELAC Library's MLA Citation Guide, available at researchguides.elac.edu/citation. The next resource is the Excelsior Online Writing Lab, which you can Google or find by going to bit.ly/ExcelsiorMLA. The last resource I'd like to share with you is YouTube. You can find lots of videos on how to do technical things, like creating a hanging indent in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and formatting your paper. That concludes our workshop. If you're watching this in your professor's Canvas course,
Hi, everyone. Are you all hearing me again? Hi. Okay, great. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I know it was a bit long, but it kind of solidifies some of the things I would have touched on in my presentation. So basically that is my presentation for this afternoon. I know we have a lot more allotted time. We can take some Q&A in the chat, and basically that's it. So anybody has any questions, any concerns?
Good afternoon, Miss Alexander. Is it okay if I don't type mine? Is it okay if I ask mine orally, my question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is not directly related to MLA, but I'm in humanities and education, and I wanted to know if there is any sort of facility or section that can help students who want to need assistance in perhaps creating more advanced PowerPoint presentations for their postgraduate seminars and conferences. Thank you. And thank you for your presentation.
Okay, you're welcome. Not that I'm aware of. I know the Writing Center, they would tend with writing. In terms of PowerPoint, I am not aware. I know the library does not offer that service. I'm trying to think on who on campus might be. I would think Settle. Maybe you could reach out to Dr. Justin Zephyrin. He's pretty techy and good with those things they offer. I think was mentoring Mondays and all sorts of workshops that you can do from your desktop via Zoom. They've been offering quite a few courses. I think he could speak one-on-one. He's quite accommodating. And if there isn't such a support program already established, I'm sure you could work with him for some guidance or some assistance. But I think it would be Settle. That is the resource I would go to on campus.
Okay, thank you. You said Dr. Justin, what's his last name? Can you spell that for me?
I can't, he's in his, if you put in Justin in the UE staff directory, its name would come up. It starts with a Z. I can't remember. I think it's Epherine. I don't want to misspell the gentleman's name, but once you put in Justin, it will come up.
Okay, thank you very much.
But very knowledgeable.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions, concerns? Okay, I try to keep this short and sweet because really and truly, when you go too extensive, people tend not to remember things. And you would see there's a link on my presentation when you do receive it. It talks about containers. It refers you on the library's website, the Alma Jordan Library's website. Well, we say AJL. We love acronyms. You would see there's a link under research. When you click on the research guides, and it goes to citation. Yes, that's it. It's just Dr. Justin Zephyrin. So, and you will see under humanities, there's like a nice simple, because it's always good to keep it simple guide on how to do each aspect. So you'll see things in containers and yeah, on the LibGuide for humanities. So that's a good place. Get familiar with the library's website. We have a lot of valuable information there. Some of the same things you might be curious about is actually on there, but you have to spend a little time navigating the website, and the resources are there. The MLA, how to cite, that kind of thing. So you have a lot of backup. So you have the website that you can explore on your own. You have the liaison librarians who you can reach out to speak one-on-one or have a consultation. So all the resources are there to help you be successful in your academic journey. Randy, well, I'm not seeing anybody posting any questions per se in the chat. So by raise of hand, by opening your mic, I'm assuming that nobody has any questions. Was the presentation that good that nobody has any questions or concerns? You all just went radio silence on me. Okay, I'm seeing a question from Mohammed. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Right, so this question that I have, it's because when I was in undergrad, I believe I was using MLA, but
Right.
there's like something inconsistent with the way I would cite certain things in undergrad, but what I'm seeing now, right? And specifically when it comes to citing two papers by the same author, the in-text citation, right? When I was in undergrad, my lecturer would have told me that, you know, I could put let's just say the author's last name was Brown, right? I would say Brown, maybe Brown 2016A and Brown 2016B. But what I'm seeing in the recent style guides is to use a short title. So instead of yeah, so it would be like let's say his Brown's first work was the handbook of education and research, and his second one was some other article, right? So they would advise me to say Brown, and then in italics in the index citation, Brown handbook of so and so, and I thought that was such a wordy thing to put in the index citation, and I keep coming across it again and again when I look up in-text citations like that online.
So what you're saying is that when you look up for the recent guides, the up-to-date guides, well, let's work with the 9th edition, MLA, right? We're talking about MLA, right?
Yes.
You find that it's worthy if you have to do like, that's what you're saying?
No, I want to know which is the appropriate way to do it. Would it be that I use the short title in the index citation, or that I use a like a date or something? What situation like what I was describing?
I'm not visually, I can't really picture what you're talking about exactly.
Right.
Whatever the guide states, I mean, sorry to say, I think the guide will take precedence over what your lecturer would tell you, because the guide is an international standard.
Right.
And that's what we advise, that's what we use to guide students. And I don't know if your lecturer is telling you something different to what the guide said, that's a bit of a discrepancy. I'm not too sure how that works, but we tend, whatever the guide states, it would have all the criteria, whether it's single author. I know you said it's by the same author. You would have to quote it accordingly, to cite it accordingly.
But you're familiar with that strategy that I was talking about with the short title?
Not off the top of my head, to be honest with you, I'd have to look it up.
All right, no problem. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. But you could always check with me again. My information is there. I'm on the staff directory, as well as the end of the presentation. You'll see my information, so we could look at it again.
Sure. Okay, great. Yeah.
This is just an introduction. This is not first and last time you'll see or hear from me.
All right. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
So Georgia, we have a question in the chat. On average, how often are new versions / updates of MLA release?
I don't know the exact time frame, but what it's like, if you have like new formats, they would do, like they said before, including pronouns and that kind of thing, because we have the whole gender, accommodation into that. So I guess as things change, times change to accommodate different formats and that kind of thing, it would update accordingly. I don't think they have a specific, then they'll just keep updating for no good reason, because as the literature says, there's not much changes from the 8th to the 9th edition. But people who would have started their research doing the 8th edition, I think the lecturer would have encouraged them to continue, because that would have been kind of hard to go back and tweak everything, especially at the end of their program. But I don't know, Randy, if you're aware of if there's a specific time frame. I don't think it works like that. I think it's depending on when new formats to accommodate all mediums, all formats come out, they would update it accordingly. I hope that answers your question.
What I can say, between the 7, the 8, and the 9, there were a 5-year span between each one of them. When you look at it, it's
Okay.
roughly around 5 years. So
Right.
this is not necessarily the pattern, but we can average probably around 5 years.
Right. Right.
But as Georgia mentioned, once something emergent comes up, then it will be looked at and reviewed and updated accordingly.
Yeah, because I think it was the video did mention that to include like pronouns, new pronouns that people like think identify by, they would have included that because there wasn't much changes between the 8th and the 9th, but there were changes. Anyone else? Any?
I have another question, if it's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Some persons, with regard to the work cited, sometimes you would see an author with a particular name, and then I guess maybe she got married, and then there's a different name. I mean, the first name is the same, but the last name is different, but it is the same person. How do you go about citing that? Like, so they might have their maiden name, but they've attached a new last name. Do I just, with each article, just put a different name, whatever name is on the article?
But you would be going by what's in front of you, not so?
Yes, I'm just ensuring if that's okay to do.
Okay, so if the literature in front of you has the person's married name, I think that's what you would go with. It's not like you would go back to. So if the current piece of literature you're working with, whatever name is on that, I think that's what you would go with.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted clarity. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so if there aren't any other questions, or if you think of any question, even after the fact, because sometimes things pop up after the fact, you can send me an email and I will address it there. Other than that, thanks for staying the course and for attending this presentation. I hope I was helpful in some way to clear up any gray areas, or at least bring some kind of enlightenment in terms of MLA 9th edition. I am available after this session. You can reach out to me, and I wish you all a very successful journey and happy citing and referencing.